Hello, today we're going to be reading Chapter 7, Grade 12 Adventures. On October 25th, 2012, about 22 students, including myself, Mrs. Collins, and Miss Avery, went on a trip to a corn maze. We were sitting in the barn at tables waiting to wander around the farm and explore the corn maze, but we were being told the rules and stuff like that. Della and I were on the swings in the park on the property, as well as a bunch of other students during this trip having fun. At some point during this trip, we also got to see the farm animals, petting them and taking pictures with them, and some of those animals were cows, goats, rabbits, pigs, llamas, and other birds, like turkeys, chickens, roosters, and ducks, etc. Where the Blood Mixes played live at the Maple Land Theater from November 7th to the 24th, 2012, Marcel Greenfield was one of the main actors. As I was high up in the rows in the balcony on the left side, I believe it was the nosebleed section. I don't know why people call it that. This theater show is what started that lifelong dream of working in the theater. It was a powerful and funny production that inspired me to become a movie and stage actress, even if it meant background acting for a while. In grade 12 in the first semester, the co-op teacher, Mrs. Allison, also became a favorite teacher, even though a couple of years before, when I was in cosmetology class, I didn't like her. I don't know why, I just didn't. I didn't even like the cosmetology class and working with hair. That class should have been a choice and not a mandatory course. Because if it were an optional class, I wouldn't have taken it. She was incredibly supportive and kind to me. She was and is an amazing teacher. Thank you for helping me land my first job working at my co-op placement. I'm forever grateful for the opportunity to have worked in that restaurant because of you and the co-op class. Thanks to Mrs. Allison, I was finally able to get my first bank account. She wanted to go with me to set up a bank account with Bay Peanut Bank, but she didn't because something came up. She left me a note in the office about it. Dad took me to our home bank called Alcatraz instead. On Monday morning, I later went to school that day to see Miss Allison. She was happy that I got my new bank card and had a bank account. We both went to the first floor to see Principal Gates in his office. He was happy to see that I now had a bank card for myself. He was acting like he cared and he was happy. For me, yet again. He said, "You are a grown adult that now has a bank card." Also, before I started my co-op placement, I remember Miss Avery and I were in the resource room and she helped me find the address for the diner on one of the computers in the room. This is the first time that she and I had officially met. After co-op class at the diner in 2012, sometimes I would come back to the school late for lunch and Mr. Slick would save me lunch, even if I wasn't hungry. But every time I went to my computer class, aka communications class, during third period, I would bring my lunch there and Aiden would try to eat it every chance he got. Sometimes I would just give in and share it, or just give it to him, or he would just take it whenever I wasn't looking. Sneaky little bugger. Mr. Louis wouldn't really say anything. Sometimes he would just look at us and shake his head like we were crazy. And to be honest, we were kind of crazy teenagers. One day in communications class, the director of education, Dr. Max Mason, came to visit our school. He was with 2 or 3 other people from the school board and maybe the principal of our school. He came to our class and he walked over to me. I had my hoodie on at the time. I looked up at him and he asked me what I was working on. And do you know what I said to him? "You're way better looking in person." The dude just looked at me like I was crazy. He didn't say anything. He must have let that slide because he continued talking to me, I think. Honestly, I don't even remember what I was working on or why I said that to him at all. It was very inappropriate. One time I attended communications class and Mr. Louis said to me unexpectedly, "You have a beautiful smile." I knew he truly meant that too. I said thank you. I didn't believe I had that kind of smile, but after I said thank you, I tried to hide my smile with my arm and my hand. And he said, "Don't do that. And don't hide your smile. It needs to be seen." Even today, I still think about his words and how he made a difference in my life. I thought even though I was being bullied while being called ugly and fugly and stuff like that, I knew that my smile was the most beautiful thing about me, even when others thought I was just ugly and nothing about me was pretty. But they didn't realize that God gave me a smile that can light up any room and hopefully make other people smile along the way. Even after he said that to me, I was still smiling while hiding my face from him. But I think the only reason he commented on my smile is because I always used to smile at him when I would go into his classroom or when he'd look my way. He was the type of person that if you smiled at him, he'd smile back at you. He also became my favorite teacher right there and then, but I don't think he ever knew that. He is the kind of teacher that would tell you how he sees things and would put you in your place if you disrespected him or caused trouble in any of his classes, including automotive, communications, and woodshop class. He was the type of teacher I never wanted to make angry. He was one of the cool teachers, but if he had something to say to you, he would say it. But he had this gentleness to his words when he would speak to you. He would speak to you in a way that both you and him could understand without judging or raising his voice, even when you did something wrong, or if he didn't like what you were doing or saying. Like, he would tell you flat out, you can be better, and I know you can. But when we are young, we don't always listen to our teachers or to the individuals who care about us. Sometimes we probably think that their words don't matter and hold no meaning to us, and those words do mean something. But sometimes we don't realize those words mean anything or hold any value until we get older and become wiser and realize that our teachers are right. And they were or are just trying to keep us better, to help us become better, and to see us succeed in whatever it is that we want to do with our lives. But have any of you ever thought of some of the things that your teachers would say to you sounded more like bullying than advice? I did at one point. I thought they were bullying me, but it turned out they cared about my future because my behavior was bad, and they just wanted to help me become a better person. I didn't even think about what they said until 11 years after the school had closed. Also, in the first semester of grade 12, I made my own drawstring bag with help from Miss Valley and Mrs. Cruiser. I put a black panther sitting on words on the front of the bag that said, "Don't hide from your panther's pride." I also put a heart and initials on the back of the bag too. And the principal thought at the time that the initials were related to him somehow, and they were in a way, but only because Mrs. Valley dared me to put those initials onto the back of the bag. And I did. But at the time, I didn't even think about the other people I knew or was a fan of whom had the same initials. Mrs. Valley and I wrote a list of reasons why we are very proud to be Panthers United, and those reasons are the yearbook, driver's ed, student success, the Wilson Reading Program in English. Some more reasons are art, science, drumming, Triple E group, computers and cool staff, glamour room, and camping. Also, the NYAWEH program too. Followed by sewing, bacon and guidance, Keep Awesome Beautiful, and the girls group. Woodshop, walk-in closet, library, geography, and Cosmo. A few more reasons are cafeteria, yummy lunches, automotive, weight room, cooking, and gym. SSW, greenhouse, and barbecues, history trips, and the Glee Club, leadership, the boys group, and math, dogs breakfast program, and CYW. The kitchen and co-op, the talent shows, the haunted house, the bus tickets, and piano lessons. These are many reasons why we love Panthers United. The sewing class also designed and made two Bulldogs quilts for Principal Gates to sell as auction items at one of the Hamilton Bulldog games, but it never happened. He even gave us Hamilton Bulldog tickets to go to the games if we helped make the quilts. But the two quilts ended up being sold at the school's store instead. One day in sewing, Natalia, Adriana, Sandra Baker, Mrs. Valley, Mrs. Cruiser, and I were in class. Sandra was trying to unplug the iron, and Natalia told her not to pull the cord. Sandra could have gotten shocked, but she kept arguing with Natalia. I'm sure Natalia wanted to smack Sandra for giving her attitude while trying to help her. I agreed with Natalia, as it could have hurt Sandra, but she just kept arguing with us. It didn't matter what we did or said, she just didn't care. We soon gave up and let her do what she wanted. Mrs. Valley and Mrs. Cruiser had enough hearing all of us yell and bicker at each other. They soon told us to stop. Natalia and I were trying so hard to be calm and mature about the situation, but Sandra didn't like that at all. I was proud to have received 2 awards for best attendance in co-op and in sewing class. The students were cheering me on as I went to the front of the gym to accept my awards. I got a few high fives as well. My attendance had improved a lot and my grades went up and were good. A few of the staff has said, "Your attendance is amazing. When they first introduced the awards at school, I never received any, but my siblings did. I don't know if it was because they wanted to see me upset or work harder to get an award, or they just didn't give me one out of spite, just to see how I would react to my siblings receiving awards and not me. But either way, I didn't give up and worked very hard just to receive at least one award certificate before I graduated high school. And sure enough, a couple of years went by and I finally received one. But I got 2 awards instead. I was very happy about that and was very proud of my accomplishments with my attendance and with my good attitude in school. I used to ask Mr. Turnsicle for the Hamilton newspaper all the time. It was just an excuse to see him and bug him. But he didn't know I didn't need those papers. I just wanted to see him. But I took the newspaper home anyway. Sorry. I was closer to Mr. Turnsicle than Della was, for she hated him a lot, but I never did understand why at first. I then caught on later on in 2013. I offered to help a fellow student in the year of 2013 because his family had lost their home due to a fire and lost everything. I never talked much with Logan Bates, but only to find out days after the fire on Cathcart Street, my mom was friends with his mother when Mom was pregnant with us triplets at the time in 1995. My mother had run down many flights of stairs to get the fire extinguisher to put out the fire in her friend's apartment. How she was able to do that while pregnant, I'll never know. But she is one heck of a warrior, an earth angel. One of the sockets had caught fire. Someone said that the kids started the fire. They had 2 fires in their lives, and it's just sad that it happened to them again. But I don't believe Logan ever bullied us, and I think that's one of the reasons why we helped him and his family at that time. The Last Romance also played live at the Mapleland Theater during February 6th to the 23rd, 2013. It was another great play that I had seen. I walked over to the stage where our school had attended one of the shows and put 2 of the fake leaf props into my photo album. Sorry I stole those leaves. I still have them if you ever want them back. This time I was in the front row. There was a real puppy on the stage that made the play even more special to me. When it was time for the Q&A, most of the cast were answering questions from the students and the fans in the audience. I wanted to ask if they had any advice for future actors, but I chickened out and never asked, and Alexandra was sitting with me during this production. But I always love going back to the theater because it's so beautiful. While all the staff and the volunteers there are so kind and amazing. They make you feel wanted and they make you realize that you truly belong there. I actually do wish that I had met the actor who played the main role in The Last Romance. That's actually the name of the real production. The actors, on the other hand, are actually renamed in the book, so their real names are not used. But I really wish I had have met this cast and the previous cast from all the other productions. Unfortunately, I didn't know I could meet them at that time, and I don't think they ever came out during the student matinees, but it is what it is. Still good plays, though. That's the end of chapter 7. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry about all the mess ups, of course. Laura screaming again. Anyway, bye.